everybody, welcome back to another grilling video, and today we're doing something out here on our pellet smoker. It's going to be really good. We're making smoked baked potatoes, and I do mean smoked as opposed to just a baked potato. These will impart some wonderful smoky flavor in these. Outside skin will be nice and crispy and delicious. This is a great way to make a baked potato. So let's talk about the must-haves for smoked baked potatoes. Well, you must have baked potatoes, right? Use russet potatoes. Sometimes in your grocery store they'll be called baking potatoes, but it's important that you use russets, and the reason why is they have that starch content inside that lets them be nice and fluffy and soft and pillowy on the inside. Exactly what you want when you split open a baked potato. We're also going to need some olive oil. We're going to coat the outside of it. That's what gets the skin nice and crispy and delicious. And then we're going to need some salt and pepper. We're using fresh cracked black pepper and smoked salt. You definitely want a coarse salt because you want to coat it on the outside of this and really make it look nice. Now, we're going to be doing this out here on our PitBoss pellet smoker. You can do it on a pellet smoker, a charcoal grill, or a stick smoker. Either way. You can do it on a gas grill as well. You're just not going to get the smoky flavor of this. So let's talk about what we did to prepare these. Pretty simple. We just started and scrubbed them really well. Because we're going to be eating the skin, we want to make sure they're good and clean. Now, I've set them out here in the sun for just a few minutes. Well, on the outside. I guess it's not very sunny today. And we want to dry them. So before we start preparing this, I want to go ahead and get the smoker turned on. Let's just get that starting to warm up. We're going to do this at 250 degrees. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that our potatoes are good and dry. As I mentioned, I had them sitting out here thinking that would help them out a little bit, and it certainly did on the top side, but the bottom sides were sitting in a little bit of moisture on the pan. So we're going to go ahead and get these nice and wiped down, and we're also going to wipe down our pan. And the reason being is we're going to coat oil in this. You know, oil and water don't mix. We want to make sure that that oil adheres very well to the outside of this, the skins of these. I'm just going to go ahead and set these back in here now that it's nice and dry. Now you can use whatever pellets or type of wood you like. I tend to like using hickory, oak, or mesquite for meats and long cooks, or when I want to impart a good smoky flavor. For this, I'm actually going to go a little bit more mild. I'm using a fruit wood here. This is an apple. And mainly just because there's not a whole lot left, and I'll use up the rest of this bag. But I'm going to go ahead and pour that in here. And because these potatoes are fairly mild in flavor, they'll be able to absorb this smoke really well. They're going to go for probably, for something this size, it could very well go for 3 hours before it's done. So plenty of time to get smoke imparted in there. All right, while we wait for this to come up temperature, we're going to go ahead and start preparing these. Now, what's going to be interesting is I need to watch them because these are likely going to be done a good 45 minutes to maybe an hour before these guys. So what we need to do is just drizzle these things with olive oil, and we want to do this on all sides. So I'm going to do it on the top, and then I'm going to rotate each of these over. This is one of those things where there's no getting your hands from getting dirty unless you wear gloves, because what we want to do is massage this oil all in here. Filled up my oil dispenser too much. Not letting enough air in to pour yet. All right, so we're going to start by just giving these things a good massage and rubbing it in every part of the skin. Now, it is important that you have every part of that skin covered. This will help with that flavor. Also, it gives us a great place for the seasoning to stick to. Now, you might be tempted to put your barbecue seasoning on here. I'm not gonna. We're leaving these just classic. These are just going to be salt and pepper. Nice little jacket over the outside of these guys. While my hands are still nice and clean, I'll use the pepper mill here. Try to touch these as little as possible. Then we'll go back and salt them in a minute. When I salt them, I know my hands are going to get covered in this stuff. So, and it already did just turning those over. I don't want to get oil all over my pepper mill. Now, season these liberally with salt, and I really do mean liberally. These are big potatoes, so don't be afraid of getting salt on these guys and really getting quite a bit on there. You want to rotate them around and get salt on all sides of these. I know it looks like a lot, but keep in mind, this is a 2-pound potato right here, these big ones. So some of it's going to fall off as we handle it and move it around in the grill. that is going to impart some wonderful flavor on there for sure. And we'll wait for this grill to come up to temperature, and as soon as it's at 250, we'll go ahead and put these in. Now, the reality is you can cook these at 225, 250, and if you're in a hurry, go ahead, crank it up to 300. I want to get a good smoky flavor on these, which is the reason why I'm choosing 250 as my temperature. To me, it's a mid-range. I've done these before at 350, and it take about an hour and 15 minutes. At 250, they probably are going to take anywhere from 2.5 hours to 3.5, maybe 4 hours. But that's fine. We're going to have these later on for dinner, and what we don't use, we'll cut up, make potato salad or home fries or whatever else we have, but we definitely needed to get these cooked up. All right, you can see that these guys are rubbed down with oil and they're well seasoned and they're sort of glistening out here in the sun. So let's get these suckers in. So you saw just how these are looking. We'll go ahead and get these guys placed right here into the smoker. We're at about 220 degrees, so just fine for going and popping them in there. Just get each of these placed right in here. Now I'm putting the thicker end of these large ones toward the back. Mine tends to run a little bit warmer in the back than it does in the front. Go ahead and get this closed up. And now it really is just a waiting game. So we pop those in, we're at 250 degrees. These are gonna take at least 2.5 to 4 or 5 hours, I don't know. So we'll come out and check them. About every hour, I'm probably gonna turn them around and maybe rotate them as well. I'll use some good heat-proof gloves and we'll just pick them up by hand and do that. So we will see you back here in a little while. So I've come out a couple of times and I've rotated these around. They've been on about 3 hours. We're gonna go ahead and check the temperature. What we're looking for is somewhere between like 205 and 220 degrees or so inside. That's usually the point in time when it's like your mom always taught you, stick a fork in it, it should be fork tender. But we have these little probes, so let's go ahead and use it. So I really like my little thermopen or whatever it's called here. And we're just gonna go ahead and poke right through this. We got a nice crispy outer edge, but it's nice and tender inside. You can see we're at 212 degrees on this one. Let's see a smaller one here.
Over here. Yeah, right here. Hey, do me a favor. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, subscribe to the channel and click on that little bell notification so you get notified of new videos. Thanks.
I'm gonna go ahead and go into the thickest, longest part of this guy here. All right, these look like they're gonna be ready. Now I like to use one of these nice heat-proof gloves for picking them up. It's a lot easier than trying to use tongs. You just have to remember when you go to pick it up, the tray transfers a lot of that heat. So we'll let these set right out here. Yeah, and listen, can you hear that? Nice crisp outer skin on that. It's exactly what we want. These guys are very hot. I'm going to use my gloves, cheat a little. Yeah, there we go. So it's one thing to just have baked potatoes. It's a whole nother to kick them up a couple of notches. We're a smoking channel. We do a lot of smoked meats here. So we're going to make a delicious smoked barbecue baked potato. So I put a generous amount of butter in here. I'm just going to kind of mix this around a little bit without destroying the outer jacket of this baked potato, because we love the ability for that to hold all of our goodies here. Just breaking and fluffing a little bit of this potato from the sides, especially with these giant, small football-sized ones. Next thing we're going to do is add just a little bit of cheese and some leftover barbecue. So I went ahead and just took some of our chopped barbecue that we had from a brisket we made a couple of days ago, and I'm just going to go ahead and scoop a very healthy amount of chopped barbecue right in here. Now this happens to be beef brisket, but you could do this with pulled pork and it would be phenomenal as well. Now we're going to sprinkle that with a good amount of grated cheddar cheese. We're going to end up putting this right in the broiler. Now, we really want to kick it up a little bit. This is a Crown maple syrup. It's not for like doing on your morning pancakes. It's a delicious glaze, and I'm going to use a very small amount here just to give it some of that good flavor down in there. All right, let's prepare the second one, and then we'll drop it in the broiler for just a couple of minutes while it melts all that cheese. Now, you could toss this right back in the grill if you wanted and heat it back up. I like doing it on a broiler so it has the heat over the top. So I'm going to pop that in real quick in the house and cheat. As you can see, it looked pretty doggone good. And I love the crispiness of the, I almost said the shell. I love the crispiness of the skin around this. You can hear it. It actually sounds crispy. It's going to be hot. I'm trying to get a little bit of everything here in my bite. A little barbecue, a little cheese, and a little bit of that skin as well. That is good. That bite required too much careful planning. I'm just going to take a cut and a bite. That is a winner. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video on how to smoke baked potatoes. And if you want, kick them up a notch and use some of those awesome leftovers from some of your bigger cooks. By the way, just as good with butter and sour cream and cheese in it. But add barbecue, whole nother level. Bye y'all. Safe and happy grilling.